Great to have you with us. Now, first story, Busa South MP Dr. Clementa Park has petitioned the Office of Special Prosecutor, demanding the prosecution of NPP members and Forestry Commission officials cited in an investigative report for taking bribes to facilitate illegal rosewood export. The report by Washington, D.C.-based Environmental Investigative Agency claimed head of the Commission's Wildlife Division took percentages to sign export permits. It claimed MPP members were beneficiaries to make money. Dr. Apak wants Martin Amidu to look into the issue. Before we hear from Dr. Clementa Park, let's hear from our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Joe, what else is contained in that petition that Dr. Park filed this morning?
And so it says that even beyond the investigative report by the group EIA, it made reference to a Joy News documentary, which Dr. Park tells us is one of the two additional evidence he submitted to the special prosecutor. He submitted an accompanying video from the EIA report in which a rosewood trafficker was mentioning the name of the Forestry Commission officials. Joy News' recent hotline documentary, Killing Our Roses. And those were the videos that he submitted, as well as the petition asking that per his mandate as special prosecutor, he has the obligation to investigate acts of corruption and acts of bribery. And as far as he's concerned, that has been proven beyond doubt in the said EIA investigative report. So he wants him to look into it and ensure that those responsible are prosecuted in order to stop the illegal rosewood trade that's currently ongoing.
Now, Dr. Park has been on this campaign for a while now. Do we know if he has petitioned or reported to any other institutions?
He makes the point that for him, he is virtually at his wit's end. He's done everything that he needed to do. He summoned the Minister for Land and Natural Resources to Parliament and respond to questions on the issue. He raised the issue on the floor of Parliament. The Speaker directed that an investigative committee looked into it. The committee went round for like a year, came back with recommendations which the House approved, and he's repeatedly even communicated directly to government demanding action, and all of that have failed, which is how come he thinks the Office of the Special Prosecutor bringing the alleged perpetrators of this act to book will be a way to bring an end to it. And he says he's been in conversations with the officials at the Environmental Intelligence Agency, and they tell him that they have several hours of video recording of some of the traffickers and their acts, which involve some alleged MPP members and also officials of the Forestry Commission, and they are working in order for them to testify eventually when the special prosecutor begins his investigation.
But is Dr. Park not satisfied with the work that has been done by the Forestry Commission itself to investigate this matter? Because we know that some officials have come out to say they have made phone calls and they have established that no wrongdoing was actually done.
And Dr. Park says that in his own constituency in Busa South, and he mentions the particular community, Bachonta, as one of those areas where rosewood harvesting has been ongoing. And he said that's been happening even till date. And that has continued even after the minister announced his latest renewed ban, which was actually on the 12th of March this year. And for him, that's the evidence that despite the what he calls rhetoric by officials of the Forestry Commission, nothing is being done on the ground itself in order to deal with this. And it's affecting and negatively impacting the lives of his people. And he brings the point that he's gotten wind that President Akufo-Addo will be in the his constituency today as part of his campaign, and he is expecting that the people would raise those issues,
right,
even as they try to get to the bottom of how to stop this particular alleged illegal.
Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. Let's now hear Dr. Clementa Park himself.
The investigators of EIA found that, quote, even when seized logs go through the official auction processes, influential traffickers can still guarantee certain containers auctioned to themselves through agreed fine, quote unquote, payments and kickbacks. In one case, the EIA investigators were shown 4 containers of rosewood seized by authorities in March and June of 2019 from notorious Chinese trader Helen Wang, one of the most influential Ghanaian traffickers, claimed to the EIA undercover investigator that these very containers are about to be auctioned to him thanks to his connections. How sad. Clearly, rule of law has been thrown to the dogs in this country. The lives of the good people of Ghana are being undermined, and the environment is being desecrated just because a political party needs to help its members make money. This is the highest form of injustice to the people of Ghana. That is obviously not what they voted President Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP into power to come and do. This is not how JB Dankwa and the founders of MPP, they are doing all this because they are aggressively looking for money to monetize our democracy.
Away from that story, government has released a check for 1.491 million Ghana cedis for victims of a shooting incident caused by a joint military police team at Foase in the Ashanti region. In February 2018 is when this happened. Now, 4 people, all males, died when the group shot at a group of residents protesting the relocation of the Echuma-Kaoma district capital from Foase to Chedie. Family members of 4 persons who were killed in the shooting would each receive 250,000 Ghana cedis, while those who were wounded will receive 4,500 Ghana cedis. Let's get on the phone lines and engage security analyst Adam Bona, who is asking questions about justice for the families. Mr. Bona, would you say this is sufficient? Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Adam Bona on that there. Let's take this report, so we'll come back to that.
In February 2018, police were called to disperse routing youth protesting relocation of Echuma-Kaoma district capital from Foase to Chedie. The armed security personnel reportedly opened fire, resulting in casualties. A report by an investigative committee was not made public except for its recommendation, including compensation. Another committee was set up to implement the recommendations after overseeing burial of the deceased and payment of medical and funeral costs. Deputy Minister for Local Government, Kwesi Boateng J, speaks for the implementation committee.
Then administratively, we're supposed to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court was implemented. So the district capital had to be moved from Foase to Chedie. That has been done. The recommendation was that we should position the district administration headquarters in such a way that it would serve the 2 communities. So that's been done. Then there was something else that we were charged to do, to see to some compensatory project for Foase. That is something that we are working on. And then finally, to follow up on the other aspects as to what happened and if there was any blame to be placed somewhere.
On Tuesday, 3 of the 4 families, as well as the wounded victims, selected representatives to receive the amount on their behalf. Witnesses were also on hand to observe the presentation of the money to be shared between nuclear and extended families. A surviving wife and children got 150,000 cedis. Late last year, families of 7 residents of Zongo who were shot at Manson Kwanta also received similar compensation from government. Mr. Boateng will not blame police for the incident, but urges caution by both security agencies and the public.
Sometimes some of these things are avoidable. And so when we have a situation like this, the advice we have to give is to go to all of us, including the security personnel.
We can now speak with Adam Bona on the back of this one. Mr. Bona, thanks for joining us. In the first place, 1.491 million Ghana cedis. Good figure?
Can you repeat your question again?
I'm asking if the 1.5 million Ghana cedis, which is being paid to the families, is enough in your estimation.
Well, yes, it's a good morning or afternoon. Good afternoon. I mean, we can't place monetary value on human lives. And therefore, I would not, it would be difficult for me to say this is enough. If we want to talk in terms of human lives, then I will tell you that it is nowhere close to anything adequate. First of all, we've got to look at between 2 to 3 things. Why are we beginning to see governments, paying, money to victims' families after they've been killed, and probably reports comes out that they were killed. I mean, their death is not supposed to have been. What measures is government putting in place? Some of us have called for the independent, police complaints commission or authority. That has not been put in place. We were told when the incident happened in Kumasi that the officers who were involved were going to be punished. But as we speak, we haven't been told if those officers, if in fact they were culpable, they've been dismissed. Because if you kill someone, you have to be dismissed, and they need to prosecute you. We haven't been told if that has taken place. And so it's simply reckless on the part of government to wait for innocent civilians or innocent Ghanaians to be killed, and government goes to pay compensation to victims' families. I think that to put it probably in its right context, I'll say that is reckless on the part of government beginning to place monetary value on deaths of people, people who died through the hands of some police officers who are not properly trained, who go about sometimes killing people. Let's put it this way.
So, Mr. Bonner, what would you say would be the best way for government to prevent these things from happening in the future?
The best way is to have a very balanced, thorough investigation and making sure that punitive measures are put in place. If a police officer goes out there and is trigger happy and he shoots an innocent person and the person dies, that police officer should be aware that he's going to be punished. When that happens, you would have police officers whose first line of defense wouldn't be to shoot and kill, but to rather make sure they calmly would interrogate situations before they respond. But unfortunately, that hasn't been done, and government is not telling us how even these police officers who probably commit some of these dastardly acts, whether they go through rehabilitation in other places when these things happen, and those officers, whether cleared or not cleared, they have to go through some form of psychological rehabilitation and examination. These officers, have they been checked? Do they go to the psychiatric hospital to be checked to see if they are sane enough? And so government should be doing enough to make sure civilians or Ghanaians are protected under the law. And so for me, I would say again that we need the Independent Complaints Commission. Once that is put in place, you see, I would be able to, we cannot interrogate. Usually we don't even get the report, the final report fully. That details what took place. Call it every detail with regards to how this death took place. We don't know it.
Right.
So, and usually, even the coroner's report, we don't see it.
Right. Thank you very much, Adam Bonner, for joining us with those thoughts. Now, on to one of the points he was making, which was an update on the investigation that is being carried out into this matter. The Deputy Local Government Minister, who doubles as the chairman of the committee mandated to implement recommendations, Kwesi Eje Boateng, has given us some updates on these other recommendations. He was speaking on News Desk.
There are a number of other recommendations there, and virtually we've done almost all the recommendations. The last bit, which relates to the police personnel, is a matter that was to be handled by a technical committee of the Ministry of Interior. And we have liaised with them, the National Security, and that matter has not been resolved yet. So we haven't finalized the issues relating to the police personnel who were involved in the. Our duty was to do the follow-up, which we are doing with the National Security Minister and then the Interior Minister. With the other aspects of it, I think that they will be better placed to answer for the delay.
Is it that you know but you don't want to say it, or you've not been told at all?
I don't know. These matters, they take a while to now engage the people to identify what compensatory projects we can recommend to government. So that is what is the next stage which we're going to work on. No, the only issues which are outstanding are the matter relating to the police personnel who were involved, and then the issue of a compensatory project. All other issues have been sorted out.
So the relocation of the district capital has been done?
That has been done.
Now, in today's edition of Porous Borders, we are back in the newly created OT region, where lack of logistics and inadequate personnel were hampering border controls there. Apart from unmanned entry points and all the challenges, a few personnel there are living the reality of enduring unfavorable conditions and dilapidated structures. Here's Peter Senu's report, read to you.
This road leads to the main border post at Menusu, one of Ghana's eastern borders to the Republic of Togo. The road is pothole-ridden, bumpy, and generally unmotorable. This road is not in a good shape for any emergency calls or evacuation. Beyond the bad state of the road, it also becomes very slippery anytime it rains because of huge clay deposits in the soil here. I'm currently at the crossroads between Togo and Ghana. A third part of the road belongs to Togo, whereas the remaining untarred part belongs to the Republic of Ghana. Unlike some unmanned entry points, I see immigration officials in charge here. They are here to protect the country from any external aggression. But what are their realities and how do they cope? I started at the Kerchi outpost in the Jasikan district, but under the Inkwanta sector command. Here, the solar panel to provide lights at night has broken down. The officers share this dilapidated structure. They struggle to make or receive phone calls every day unless they position themselves in this corner of a premises. Communication is severely impeded in this area. The officers will not go on record with how they respond in terms of emergencies and what they do when reinforcement is needed. I have come to the Obuasi outpost, still in the Kajebi district of the Oti region. The situation here is not so different. No lights, having to battle with flies which cause onchocerciasis, and sometimes attacks from the communities close by when they try to do their jobs and exercise some vigilance. My next destination was very hard to reach. It is the Ahamansu outpost. I have arrived after traveling 3 kilometers. Immigration officials here are also saddled with hard challenges as they travel over 3 kilometers to do something as basic as charging their mobile phones on a daily basis. Their solar panels have been faulty, and like their counterparts in Obuasi, extremely poor network leaves them with one sacred spot of reception on the premises. These are just the highlights of their daily concerns. There's more, but like all security agencies, disciplinary action could follow if they go on record with these concerns. So they choose to be silent. But with the series on Porous Borders, they sure are hopeful their superiors and government will act swiftly to avert any unfortunate situation. It takes secured men to secure others, after all.
Having seen what is really happening on the ground, are you satisfied with the condition under which your men live?
Yeah, I can tell you nobody is satisfied, whether you are in the security service or wherever it is, because of the circumstances under which the men work. But we really work with what we have, and they are doing their best. The officers and men over there wish to have improved conditions, of course, and some of these have already come to the notice of our authorities, and they have called for full reports on the borders and the structures and the entire condition, so that at least they will help us to be able to improve the conditions under which these officers and men work. We are doing our best, and therefore we hope that the conditions will be improved for us to give more input.
What is your take on current seeming security lapses with specific regard to these kidnappings in the country? What's your take on that? Do you think that security has broken down somewhat internally?
I have already mentioned that if you and I, we know what the information we can share, then of course we can move on to be able to do our work. Security has not broken down. There are men, officers and men, who are their various duties and they are working. Yes, all that we need is to make sure that we embark on a sensitization for the Ghanaian public to know the type of information they will have to pick and share with us, because the people who do the kidnapping and cause much problem in the system are staying with us. That is my take. They are staying with us. We have given them our property to rent. We have given them our accommodation. Yes, so let's do a little background checks on such people. Let's liaise with the appropriate authorities about these foreign nationals who are staying in accommodation, and so that for the authorities to do such background check or share the information with them, and we will all be safe. And that is why today Ghana Immigration Service embarks so much on sensitization program and at the same time enforcement.
Peter Addison Senus reports for Joy News from the OT region.
Watch out for more stories in our Porous Borders series. Now, it's a school built for border officials decades ago. A school for over 3,000 pupils. Now, the Aflao Border and Preventive Basic Schools suffer infrastructure and furniture deficiencies. Pupils compelled to sit on floors. The Aflao Border and Preventive Basic Schools in Aflao in the Ketu South Municipality of the Volta region are faced with numerous challenges which impede academic work. The schools lack enough befitting classroom blocks where some classes are housed under makeshift structures, exposing pupils to the mercy of the weather. Fred Kwame Asari has more in the following report.
The Aflao Border Basic School was established in 1984 by border guards some years after the Preventive Basic School was established in the same compound. The schools, which operate school grades from kindergarten to junior high, has a pupil population of over 3,000. But inadequate infrastructure and the ever-growing number have forced school authorities to run two streams. The Ghana Education Trust Fund constructed a 6-unit classroom block for the Aflao Basic School, but that has not saved the situation, as some classes have had to be held in makeshift structures. Most parts of the roofing are wearing off, leaving pupils at the mercy of the weather, while some wooden parts of the structure look decayed and weak. Emmanuel Atipo is the school's headmaster.
When it rains, you cannot, the rain will have to force the school to close down. even if the sun is shining between 10 to 11 to 12 o'clock, to not ask the children to leave the structure, come out of the classroom, or teaching have to go on outside the classroom.
Despite these apparent problems, the school's population keeps increasing as more pupils are enrolled. Inadequate furniture compounds it all as students are compelled to sit on bricks or resort to other improvised methods of sitting in the classroom during lessons. For others, sitting on the bare floor is a better option, as it affords them the chance to place their books on their laps or on available wooden material. The sanitary situation at this school exposes the children and their teachers to various forms of infections. Kindergarten pupils defecate in their immediate environment, while their senior colleagues and teachers make use of a public sanitary facility nearby.
This is a department for kindergarten. Border school is a double stream school. Preventive is also a double stream school. So kindergarten 1, A and B. In kindergarten A and B for border, making 4 classrooms. Then the same thing for preventive school, making 8 classrooms are packed into 2 classrooms. We don't have toilet facility, let alone any where the children should defecate. So you can see right in my right hand, we came to school this morning, and that is where the children have defecated. And every now and then the teachers have to either bury it in the soil or carry it. It has always been like that for all these years. These schools are over 60, 40 years.
They are waiting for governmental intervention. But ahead of that, a philanthropic organization, Pencils of Promise, has stepped in, rehabilitated and fortified the Get Fund 6-unit classroom block and constructed an upper floor of 6-unit classrooms. The new classrooms are not only furnished with 272 pieces of furniture, but the school has also been provided 22-seater sanitary facility, all at a cost of 500,000 cedis. Freeman Goba is the country director for Pencils of Promise.
The saddest part was that there are over 3,000 kids on this campus with no toilet facility. I could not imagine it. But today, we are grateful to our partners and donors that we were able to complete the upper floor of a 6-unit classroom block and also renovated the down classroom block. We have corrected all the electrical works. We have fixed fans in all the classrooms because there is so much overcrowding here.
The intervention is a major improvement which will better the learning experiences of over 1,500 students of Aflao Border Basic School, but the school's management indicated the school still needs additional infrastructure to ease congestion in the classrooms. Fred Kwame Asari's report for Joy News.
Now, Ghanaians who heard and received the promises of then-candidates Nana Akufo-Addo ahead of the 2016 elections are now speaking through Joy News' series, Dear Nana Addo. Essentially, they are giving their own assessment of their circumstances and the assurances they received prior to the elections. With this year-long series, Joy News gives an opportunity for the people to speak to President Akufo-Addo. It's also an opportunity for the president and his ministers to address the concerns that the people are raising. Here are excerpts.
There should be no village or community. Once we implement this, the first 2 years, we will make sure you will not have a water problem or a toilet problem.
I think they can give this water to even their dogs to drink because of the nature of the water. If they come, we feed them water, they don't drink it. They tell us it's okay. They will leave. Upon several efforts to have this pipe brought to this village, all these attempts proved futile.
If really their campaigning messages are working, then they should come to our aid for us to get a potable water.
Times are wasting and times are wasting and times are wasting and times are wasting.
I am still firmly committed to promoting free senior high school education.
I'm paying and I do.
Every district is going to have one factory in it and
what you done and I do.
every constituency from next year onward is going to get the equivalent of $1 million.
Will stabilize the sinking cedi.
I'm in a great hurry.
Stories told in the voices of Ghanaians, the people whose lives you promised to transform. Mr. President, the time has come to track all the promises you made. Dear Nanado,
as you saw on your screens there, Dear Nanado starts airing on the Joy News and Joy Prime channels from Thursday at 7 p.m. It will also be on Joy FM's Super Morning Show. It's time now for business, and Emmanuel Abwajibiafe will be telling us how the Ghana Stock Exchange is warning that PBS will be delisted from the exchange if it fails to publish financials by November. Stay with us.